Jennifer, question. So, so when does an employee or employer need a workers' comp attorney? You mentioned you practice both. So, what kind of calls? Who calls you?
So I don't represent the employer. I represent the injured worker. We call them the applicant in the workers' compensation arena. I do receive calls from employers every once in a while when they're not insured, and I usually refer them to someone who will take on a type of claim, because now you have to think, if they're hiring an attorney to represent them for not being insured, they're going to usually pay them by the hour, right? So that whole claim is going to be very costly. But I can't deny the importance of them getting an attorney to help them navigate that process.
So, an injured employee calls you, and then so what's the cost for the employee to retain your services?
So in representing the injured worker, I work on contingency fee. So what that means is there's no money out of their pocket. I only get paid if and when there's a settlement in their case. So if I never obtain a settlement for their workers' compensation claim, I never get a fee. However, if I do obtain a settlement, then our fee is set by statute. Any settlement in workers' comp has to be approved and ordered by the judge, so he does review it once it's signed by all the parties. And at that time, he would award attorney's fees. The statute says that he can award 12 to 15% off the top of any settlement to me in attorney's fees.
So that is different from personal injury, because I believe, right, we can do 33%, which is the standard in the personal injuries industry. Okay, so that's
correct.
A key difference. I'm sorry, I'm just curious about one other thing. What else is uncommon that's different for workers' comp, that's unusual, you would say?
One of the most important things is that in workers' comp, the law doesn't provide for compensation for pain and suffering. So oftentimes I'll hear clients say, oh, it's taking so long, I've been, in so much pain, et cetera, right? It's not a fun process. However, when I'm negotiating a settlement, that does not come into consideration. And on the other hand, in personal injury, that's a huge thing, right? Documenting all the daily stress and aggravation and the alteration to the life. So pain and suffering is huge in personal injury, but it does not take place in workers' compensation.
So would you say that it's almost like workers' comp is just supposed to make you whole, or kind of pre-accident, or how would you phrase it? Is that
the way that the way that I explain it to clients is that the goal of the workers' compensation claim is to help get you better and back into the working force. And if you obtain a settlement, that means that you have some permanent disability. The example that I usually give is that let's assume that prior to having your work injury, you were working at 100% of your working capacity, and then you got hurt and your working capacity fell. You got treatment in order to try to get you to get back to that 100% working capacity. But if you have permanent disability, it means you didn't get there. So for example, say the doctor says you have 10% permanent disability that you're going to be reimbursed for. The settlement will be based on that. And the idea is that we're sending you back into the working force at a 90% working capacity as opposed to your former 100% self.
Oh, thank you.